Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'll be speaking about the ethical implications of human clothing. Imagine a world where human beings can be replicated, not just born by cloned, with identical genetic makeup to someone else. This scenario might seem like a science fiction, but it's a real possibility as science advances. However, as this potential unfolds, it prompts an urgent question. What does it mean to be human if individuality and uniqueness can be manufactured? Today, I want to convince you that human clothing isn't simply a scientific breakthrough. It's an ethical crossroads. If we proceed without careful consideration, we risk undermining the core values that define humanity itself. My purpose is to persuade you that the ethical implication of human cloning and the societal structure are too significant and to ignore. By exploring these issues, we can better understand why human cloning is more than a matter of science. It's a question of ethics and responsibility. Some of my three main points I'll be speaking today to convince you today is the potential of human life, the threat it poses to personal identity, and lastly, the social and legal complications that could arise. First, let's consider how cloning can lead to devaluation of human life. As its core, cloning could transform human life into a mere commodity. When people can be replicated at will, it risks reducing individuals to copies or products of science, rather than unique being with value. That undermines of our fundamental understanding of human worth and dignity. Imagine a society where life can be manufactured in a lab, or how long before we start treating individuals as replaceable. Consider also the potential for exploration and the lack of rights clones might face. Would clones have the same rights as a natural born human? Or would they exist in a state of reduced recognition? Cloning could create a class of individuals that treat as less than, subject to the discrimination of exploration, or even as source as biological resources for their original. My second cloning poses a direct threat to personal identity and individuality. Human uniqueness is fundamental to who we are. Each of us is born with a genetic code that forms a basis of our identity. But cloning challenges concept entirely. Imagine if your genetic makeup was duplicated in another person. How would you feel about your sense of self, or individuality? Cloning risks creating individuals who grapple with a diminished sense of purpose or self-worth, forever labeled as a copy of someone else. The psychological impact on clones themselves could be devastating, and a cloned individual would live knowing they are no exact genetic replica of another person. They might struggle to establish an independent identity, questioning their uniqueness and their value. This could lead to profound mental health challenges, creating a social divide between natural humans and the cloned individuals. If we endorse cloning, we risk creating a world where the very concept of identity is blurred and diminished. My third point is cloning opens the door to multitude of society and legal issues. Cloning raises complex legal and social questions about inheritance, identity, and individual rights. For instance, would a clone inherit legal rights of their genetic responsibilities? Or would they entitle a property, citizenship, or family status? These issues have no simple answers, and existing legal systems are unprepared to handle them. Moreover, cloning technology could be easily explored into the scientific of medical fields. Without string or regulation, clones could be used for medical experimentation, organ harvesting, or other purposes that degrade their human rights. Government oversight would be essential, but the pace of scientific process often outstrips the ability of laws to keep up. Without advocate protections, cloned individuals could be at risk of exploitation and abuse. In summary of all this, human cloning is a fraught with essential dangers that we cannot afford to overlook. To recap, we've discussed the three fundamental reasons why cloning poses an ethical threat: the potential devaluation of human life, the threat of individual identity and mental health, and thirdly, the social and legal challenges it presents. Human cloning is not just a scientific question, it's a moral challenge. As we stand on the brink of potential reality, we must decide, do we want a future where human life is manufactured? Or are we willing to create individuals or struggle with issues of identity, worth, and equality? Can we regulate technology with such profound social implications? I urge you to consider these questions. Seriously, the cost of human cloning, ethical, social, and legal, are simply too high. Let's not rush into this future without understanding what's truly at stake. As we face these possibilities, we must ask ourselves, will we be responsible stewards of this technology, or will we allow it to strip away the very essence of what makes us human? Thank you.